Is that what you think that is? Yeah, that's gaffer tape. Yeah. Oh. Wow. And that is just one of few things in this engine bay that needs sorting out. So we're going to be completely transforming this bay with doing as much as possible, with doing as little as possible. I want to start out by getting this outside to give the engine bay a good pressure wash. This is absolutely filthy. It's just dirt everywhere. I mean, just even down here. I mean, look at that. They're absolutely full of it. Grease everywhere as well. And also, I want to pressure wash the underside of where the panels were bolted onto it, because they're just as bad as the engine bay as well. I mean, look here. This is just absolutely full of dirt. Where the quarter panels were, you can see how dirty they are. And this is just going to be really nice for when the panels get bottled back up to it. So we're going to get this outside, give it a good clean up, bring it back in the workshop. We'll be getting the Evo off the ramp and putting the Z3M here, where we can get a better look at what we've got to actually do in this engine bay. Actually thinking about it, I think the engine bay needs to soak in something for a little bit. So I have got this Auto Finesse product called Eradicate. It's an engine bay degreaser. So I'm just going to squirt a load of this in here, let this soak for a bit. By the time I've got the pressure washer out, I've done the workshop doors and actually got to this with the pressure washer, this would have had time to soak. And hopefully it's going to make my life easier in getting this clean.
And if only it was that easy on the rest of the car. This Z3M had definitely seen better days, and with these cars now being 20 years old, this one was definitely starting to show its age, and it was the exact reason of why it was with us, to undergo a full repaint.
But I'd read something online, and I really wanted to see how true it was. Apparently, every single panel on these unbolts. So I'm going to put that to the test. I'm going to see how quickly I can do it as well.
So me and Rob got this fully stripped apart, removing every single panel possible on the exterior of the car, which only took us around 6 hours. But not every single panel come off,
because the pillars and the roof stay in place, which kind of sucks, because I was kind of hoping that the pillars and roof were removable. How much nicer is this now looking just for being pressure washed? There's no more grease around these catches and on the front panel. These turrets are nice and clean. It was really grubby in here before. There's a lot of dirt down in here, which there isn't anymore. This is actually just a transformation within itself. It's really brought the colour out as well, which is really nice. It just makes the bay look that little bit more better. And now we can really start getting into this, stripping bits off of it with what we want to change, and I'm not going to get all that dirty. And I'm pretty sure a strut brace isn't supposed to be this loose. So I'm going to be taking this off, and it's definitely not going to be going back on. And I'm just hoping that when I do remove it, that the strut tails aren't going to be rusty, because that could be a slight problem. Moment of truth. That's a relief. I hadn't really given it much thought on these potentially being quite rusty, but luckily they're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I mean, honestly, I thought there's going to be a little bit of rust under here, but wow, they're actually really solid. The one thing I noticed the most on this is this bracket in here, which holds this coolant reservoir in place. It's quite rusty, and it's quite a visual part actually in the engine bay, as you can see. It just doesn't look very nice, so I'm going to take that out to send that off to be blasted and powder coated. And I'm really hoping I don't have to dump the coolant out of this just to get this bracket out. Looks like the tank is clipped in here. There's a couple of things attached to this bracket as well, so I think I'm just going to have a quick look at this, see if I can get this bracket out without removing any of the tank and dumping any of this coolant. Okay, so I did manage to get the bracket out without having to dump any of the coolant or removing the coolant reservoir, but this is definitely not going to be the easiest thing to get back in once it's powder coated. And that's just because it fits in under this coolant tank, and it really wasn't the easiest thing to get out, so it's definitely not going to be the easiest thing getting it back in here. You can see why I wanted to have this out. Just look at how rusty it is. I want to get this cone filter out now, but before I do that, I really want to get a bracket made up just to hold it off the inside of this inner wing, because this edge here has been chewing away at the paint and it's just started to slightly rust it. So I'm taking it, that's why that gaffer tape modification was put there. So I want to get this out, make up a bracket. There's a point down here I can use to lift this cone filter up, and then I can use this bracket off of like a nut here to hold it over, so it should hold it nice and sturdy in place by the time I finish. But I want to get this out So I could sort this out. I want to remove the rest of this residue stickiness from that gaffer tape and then sort out this little bit of rust down there. Might just blow that in with a little bit of paint or just touch it up. So yeah, get this out, make a bracket up, sort that out, and hopefully it's going to sort this out quite nicely. I've got the brackets back from the powder coaters. I've cleaned off all that horrible sticky residue which was in here. Now I've got my gloss black on these purely and simply because, I mean, you just can't beat gloss black. Look how good this is looking. If you remember, before this was done, it was really rusty and it just didn't look very nice. Now, it was a toss-up between having them done in gloss black and having them done in a black texture finish, but I feel with the texture finish, it just has its place in the bay, and oh, this just looks too good. I mean, once this is back in, it's going to look really nice. And I've just got to try and get it back in without damaging it. So I think I'm going to tape that up. And this is the bracket that we've had made to hold the comb filter in place. And we've had that gloss black in powder coat as well. And yeah, absolutely loving that. So I can't wait to see that back in. That's going to bolt in on this bracket, hold the comb filter in place. And hopefully that's going to look a little bit better than what gaffer tape did. Yeah. Oh. Wow.
And that was just the start of it. This engine bay was really feeling sorry for itself. It was dirty, it was greasy, and there were bits in here that were going rusty. The air filter wasn't even held in properly. Overall, it really wasn't the nicest engine bay to look at. But with this custom made bracket, pot riveted in place, holding the air cone filter in place securely, I trimmed down the heat shield, fitted the freshly powder coated bracket, holding it in place with stainless steel fixings, the MPOW logo looking fresh once again, and no more dirt or grease in sight. You really wouldn't know this was the same engine bay. What a transformation.
And I'm still not quite finished with this engine bay just yet. I want to get 4 new bolts for this engine cover because I don't keep any and I need to get them, so I'm going to get them from BMW. And when the car's painted, I also want to get this outside and use some form of like plastic restorer to bring back the colour in these. But I don't want to do that just yet because this has still got to undergo a full repaint. And I'm guessing these plastic restorers probably contain quite a bit of silicone, and this early on in a repaint, that just scares the living hell out of me. And if you don't know about silicone and paint, don't even look into it, just move on with your life. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys that supported the channel this year and subscribed. Happy Christmas, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, I genuinely cannot talk to this camera today. I have never actually had such a bad day. What the actual F? Oh, I can't say sport. I keep say what? Support. I can't say support, and I can't say subscribe. Support, subscribe, support, support, subscribe, support, subscribe, support, subscribe, support, subscribe.